right, we are gathering.
Those of us who are so
Yeah.
far. Rev, I
I,
was wondering, besides the conservative, uh, you know, rabbinate in general, is there any like email or other communications between the local rabbis in the valley and the city or whatever, or any that you have besides effort?
there is a local chapter of the Rabbinical Assembly, and we do get mailings from them. Yes.
Okay, because I was at Valley Beth Israel last night. My mother was a member there, so every year I go there for your side
Hmm.
on a Friday night and talk to Rabbi Goodman there, Mark Goodman, that has a really unique congregation and what's going there. I don't know how familiar you are with what they do or who they are.
Yeah, I know who they are. I don't know what they're doing.
Well, one thing they announced last night is they got a $200,000 grant from the state of California to update security.
Good.
They got the largest possible grant, and they've done well considering they've had income from the church down the street because the church uses their parking lot. The Grace Church, and that's given them sufficient income, and they have their services were both on live, which we were there with about 15 people. I was there, and there was. They also have it on Zoom and Facebook, and they have two huge screens for the people to see what's on Zoom that are there,
Hmm.
and a really professional type of microphone and whatever set up. And then one of their congregants actually navigates the Zoom from the back of the room with his iPad or not an iPad, I guess his laptop. And the way that they do it is they put the prayers on the screen, plus they have the little pamphlets that they pass out or whatever. And they have about an hour service. It was pretty unique for a congregation that really is very few members, relatively speaking, one of the smallest ones around. But the president there, Ron Trachtenberg, who's been there forever, and family and some others have maintained it. It's beautiful. So,
Very nice. Moshe Rubinstein used to be there.
yes, yes. He was there, when my mother and my aunts, my mother's sister and the families were members there. And so that was the congregation I went to on a regular basis, irregular basis, really, but before I started going more regularly. But I knew all the people there. I knew Rabbi Rubenstein, and family and whatever. And that's where Rowan Devora had her bat mitzvah back in those days.
I had been there a few times because Rabbi Rubenstein and I were good friends.
Oh, good. Oh, okay.
We used to teach together in the conversion program, in fact.
Okay. Well, I remember him well. And, he retired and went to Camarillo, right?
Yes, he did.
And he was active there. And my aunt and uncle, who lived in the same, complex there, knew them. And he was active in their current events club, whatever that they did. So.
Very nice. Hi, Ray.
Hi, Rabbi. How are
Hi.
you?
Good. How are you?
Oh, fine, thank you.
Shalom. Hi, Jordan.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Hi, Phyllis.
Dan, did you get the article I emailed you?
I did, yes.
Good. Okay. Thank you. Thanks.
I haven't started working on them yet, but I did receive it.
Okay. Thank you. I know you must be working 20% sometimes.
Keeps me out of trouble
Right. Right.
most of the time.
I'm sure. Hi, Phyllis.
Hi, Ray.
Hi. Hi, Jordan. Hi, Sam.
Hello.
Hi, Steve.
Right. You got it right.
You read the names. Let me try another light.
Hi, Jackie.
I don't think so. Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos.
How are you?
Fine. How are you doing?
I'm okay.
Good.
Schlepping along.
Good. I guess I am too.
Yeah, are you? You know, it's been hard being alone,
Yeah. Can imagine.
but
Actually, I can't imagine.
it's 3 days. I can't talk. It'll be 3 years in April since he died.
Oh,
Hello.
Hi,
Hi.
Jody? Charlene?
No, this is her mother.
Charlene, this is Phyllis. I want to,
Hi, Phyllis. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Hi, Phyllis.
hanging in here.
Okay, we have services starting in just a few minutes if Jody will set you up.
She left already.
Is-
She went somewhere. And I'm home here.
Are,
And I've kind of gotten a cold. And,
oh, are you alone? Are you alone?
No, Daniel's here with me. My grandson Daniel's here with me for the day.
Maybe he can turn on the computer for you so you can tune into the services.
Oh, on Zoom?
Yes.
Wait a minute. Daniel, do you know how to get the TV on Zoom for services today? Well, see, Jody's not here, and he doesn't know what to do with their TV.
I can't believe
Or
I
maybe
have
just
no idea when she's coming back.
maybe the computer. But he must have a computer.
But he doesn't have all his things here. He's just spending the day with me. He lives at Debbie's house.
He doesn't have a computer. There's no computer in the house that he can go to. Okay.
No.
All right. Well, I just wanted to let you know.
All right. Have a good Shabbos. Give
Thank
my
you.
love to everybody. Every single day, I've been going to different kind of doctor's appointments. I had physical therapy. Then I went to a neurologist yesterday. Jerry Kovar made a schedule for me. And Jerry and Peg and I have been friends for years.
Hi, Neil and Barb.
Hi,
Hey,
How you doing?
everyone.
Using this one. I'm using
Cute
that
sweater.
one. I don't know what I'm using. Okay. Now am I in?
You're in.
Can I
I know
breathe?
that feeling.
Mazel tov.
So we're going to begin in about a minute. If you can have your tali tot ready to go, if you'll be wearing one, and your prayer books. Let us know if you don't have a prayer book, and we can post one in the chat.
Hi, Bob.
Somebody doesn't have a key.
Okay, it is 10:30, so we are going to begin our service. If you're putting on a talit, we can say the bracha together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu le'ikatef b'tzitzit. And you can put it on, and you may be seated. And we begin our service on page 14. I'd like to welcome all of you. And we are going to mute everybody. So once again, please don't take it personally.
Okay, we're muted.
But let us begin with these Psalms on page 14. Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, v'tageh haaretz. Yeram hayam, Yeram hayam, Yeram hayam, olam. Yeram hayam, Yeram hayam, Yeram hayam, olam. Hoshea et amecha, uvarech et nachlatecha. Ureim, 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 v'naseh, ureim, v'naseh, mad ha'olam. Hoshea et amecha, uvarech et nachlatecha. Ureim, 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 v'naseh, ureim, v'naseh, mad ha'olam. Mizmor, mizmor, shir, shir li'om ha'shabbat. 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 Mizmor, shir, shir li'om ha'shabbat. Mizmor, shir, shir li'om ha'shabbat. Tzadik katamar yifrach, yifrach, tzadik katamar yifrach. Tzadik katamar yifrach, yifrach, tzadik katamar yifrach. Ki erez ba'almanon yizkeh, ki erez ba'almanon yizkeh, ki erez ba'almanon yizkeh, yizkeh. Ki erez ba'almanon yizkeh, ki erez ba'almanon yizkeh, ki erez ba'almanon yizkeh, yizkeh. Mikol od mayim, mayim rabim. Sabtecha, Bechol Darmador, Malchutcha, Malchut Olamim, Sabtecha, Bechol Darmador, Malchutcha, Malchut Olamim, Sabtecha, Bechol Darmador, Malchutcha, Malchut Olamim, Sabtecha, Bechol Darmador. Va'anam nevarech Yom, Ve'ata b'yad olam, Ve'ata b'yad olam. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 Bekacho, hallelujah, hallelujah, Yahuza, hallelujah, Bikabuacha, hallelujah, 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 Hashafar, hallelujah, hallelujah, Nevel Bechina, hallelujah, 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 Shama, hallelujah, hallelujah, and we are on page 16. Page 16, and we continue with El Adon. El Adon Kol Hamaasim Baruch U'Borach Lefi Kol Neshama Gadlo V'Tuvo Malei Olam Da'ati Tuna Sovev Imotam Hamika Echol Chayot HaKodesh V'Mena B'Chavod Al HaMerkava B'Chud U'Mishol Lifnei Chizon Chesed V'Rachamim Lifnei Kevodyo Tovim V'Aron Shebara Eloheinu Yitzhara V'Ga'at Shevina U'Baskel Koach U'Ra Gatan V'Yad V'Yon Moshlim V'Keret V'Keret Malay Ziv V'Kim Yoga Na'el Ziv V'Mechola Olam Mechim V'Tzitam V'Sasim V'Voa Yosim B'Yem Aretzon Yonam Ke'er V'Kavod Notnim L'Shmot Ha'averim Lach V'Zecher Malchutam Halal HaShemesh Vayiz Lachor Ra'ah V'Hikim Zura L'Avana Sheva Notnim Lo V'Seva Maron Yikarenu Gedula Shachim V'Orfanim V'Chayot HaKodesh Laila Adonai Eloheinu chem lagdol avitera hamata aleinu Avinu Malkeinu V'avor Avoteinu Shebatchu Lecha Avinu Malkeinu Lamdeinu Chayim Ein Tachaleinu Lamdeinu Avinu Avarach Amrachim Rachim Aleinu V'teinu Lideinu Ve'aminu Naskil Lishma Alel Moru Nagila v'nismecha Yeshuatecha. We gather our tzitzit together in preparation for the Shema. I've also posted the prayer book in the chat. So those of you who might not have a prayer book to follow along in the service, you should be able to find it in the chat and be able to follow with our service as we continue. V'havienu l'shalom yirbakan fota aretz v'tolichenu kumim li'artzenu kli elpo el Yeshuot ata uvana v'charta mikolam v'lashon v'kerev tanu v'shimcha hagadol sela be'emet lahodot lecha uliachedcha b'yahava baruch ata Adonai abocher b'yamo Yisrael b'ahava.
Amen.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. V'ahavta את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשכבך ובקומך וקשרתם להיות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. Page 18. The Lord said to Moses, "Speak to the children of Israel and bid them to make tzitzit in the corners of their garments throughout their generations, putting upon the tzitzit of each corner a thread of blue. When you look upon the tzitzit, you will be reminded of all the commandments of the Lord and obey them. You will not be led astray by the inclination of your heart or by the attraction of your eyes. Thus will you be reminded to fulfill all my commandments and be consecrated to your God. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I, the Lord, am your God." Azot, azot, shibachu ahuvim, shibachu ahuvim. Ve'romimu, 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 ve'romimu el. Ve'natenu, ve'natenu yedidim. Ve'natenu, ve'natenu yedidim. Zmirot, shirot, ve'tishbachot, ve'rachot, ve'hodaot. Lemelech el chai v'kayam, ram v'nisa, gadol v'nora, mashbil ge'im, umagbiya shefalim, motzi asiri v'fode anavim v'yozer dalim. V'yoneleamo, v'yoneleamo, v'yei shavam elav. Tehilo le'el elyon baruch mevorach, Moshe u'vnei Yisrael achandu shira, v'simcha rabba v'yamaru chulam. Mi chamocha bo'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh, nora tehilot. Oh, Seifele. Shira Chadasha Shibachu Geulim L'Shimcha Asvat Hayam Yachad Kulam Hoduvim Lichu V'Yamaru Adonai Yimloch Le'olam Va'ed. So we're going to pause. We're about to say our own private prayers of thankfulness, but first we'll share some communal thankfulness. And this is anniversary Shabbat. And we are celebrating the anniversaries of Elizabeth and David Rader this month. 61 years. Is that right, David? Elizabeth? Very nice. I'd like to share a special blessing for the two of you. Is Elizabeth there? She's sitting? No? Okay. But is it okay if I go ahead and still make this special blessing for the two of you?
Yes.
Okay. Even though they're separated. Okay. Eloheinu Eloheinu V'Yimotenu, our God and God of our ancestors, we are grateful for the love with which you have blessed and sustained David and Elizabeth, whose hearts are filled with gratitude to you. O Lord, may they continue to enjoy your blessings in the new song of their years to come, embraced by the love of their family and friends, so that they may always live in joy and gladness, in love and harmony, in peace and companionship. And let us all say Amen, and Mazel Tov. Mazel Tov, many, many more years. And now let's open it up to anybody else who would like to share what you're particularly thankful for. Just wave at the camera, and then and then I'll remind you to unmute. So who would like to start things off? Raise your hand and you can share what you are thankful for. Sima Schuster, please unmute.
You're still muted. Okay. No, they're still muted.
Okay, Sima, we can't hear you, but it's okay if you wanted to.
Is that better?
Much better, yeah.
Oh, okay, he got the wrong mute. The kids, Sarah and Eleanor and Robert are coming down this evening for part of spring break. And so the house I just left as chaos because I figured that trying to clean up is just futile. And then we'll just have them here until Thursday. And that'll be a lot of fun. She can help me with my taxes.
Very nice. Thank you. Who else would like to share what you are thankful for? Ray Wazana, please unmute.
No.
Still muted, Ray. There you go.
Okay. First of all, I am so glad we're having this beautiful weather. And it's nice because just a couple of weeks ago, or a week and a half ago, it was very hot. Then it got chilly, which was delightful. And now we're more what to me I feel is normal for February. And the other thing, I am grateful that the Rams won. I actually found myself saying a silent prayer because it was such a tense, exciting game. And it's so nice to have champions, baseball, basketball, and now football.
Isn't it? Thank you, Ray. Who else would like to share what you're thankful for? Wave at the camera, make sure that we can see you. And Clara Rosenbluth.
Well, first of all, I'm thankful that my stitches are out from my Mohs procedure on my left hand. So now I have full use of my left hand again.
Good.
And I'm also thankful that we're going to get to attend one of Maddie's gymnastic competitions because she goes all over competing. And a few weeks back, she was at Disneyland Hotel and other times Vegas and so forth. But for once, they're going to have a competition right here in San Luis Obispo. So we're going to get to see her compete in gymnastics. And she participated in some after-school activity, something about a mock trial. And her school competed against other schools and some prep academies and all that. And all the schools in the district, and they won. So they're very, very proud. And she figures, oh, that'll look good on a college application. And so things are proceeding nicely.
Very nice. Thank you, Clara. Who else would like to share what you're thankful for? Wave so I can see. Mo, go ahead.
I'm thankful to finally be back here after a short absence. And it's nice to be back on Saturday morning. And I was very thankful for the first time in seems like months. I actually ran into Bonnie doing her long hike yesterday. And that was kind of fun. And I think I talked too much to her because she wanted to get going and I stopped her. But that was nice as well.
Yeah, thank you. No, Bonnie said it was nice to see you. Thank you, Mo. Who else would like to share what you are thankful for? Cheryl. Go ahead and unmute.
I am. Okay. I am thankful for that after 2 years, I was able to fly home to Chicago and visit my family and my mother since this COVID pandemic, and who is actually attending services today with you.
Oh, nice. Thank you. Who else would like to share what you are thankful for? Bonnie.
Well, as you know, our oldest grandchildren, Yael and Gavi, are seniors at Dita Legal High School, and each of them was accepted so far, the first ones to different colleges, Yael to Cal State Long Beach and Gavi to Chapman. So they're very excited to be on their way to this next phase of their lives.
We're still waiting to hear from Oxford in England, but
don't hold your breath.
Yeah, but we are excited. By the way, when Alicia was about 5, when did we have an au pair?
When Shayna was born.
So when Shayna was born and Alicia was about 5 or 6, we had an au pair. And she was from Sweden and she lived with us for a year. And then she had to go back to Sweden. And now, about 38 years later, she is here in LA for a couple of days, and we're going to have a chance to see her next week. So we're really delighted to have a reconnection with the au pair that looked after our 3 kids when they were little kids. Who else would like to share what you're thankful for? Jacqueline.
I'm Cheryl's mother here in Illinois while she's in California. I am thankful to having a daughter who watches over me and takes care of me with such wonderful, careful care. And I'm very thankful with that. I have other family, but she's the top. She's the best.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Who else would like to share what you're thankful for? Pearl Taylor, please unmute and share. Okay, you just, I think you just
turned off your screen. Now you're unmuted, so you can talk.
We can hear
can't
you.
see you.
Yeah.
I can't see you suddenly.
Oh, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Well, good. I'm glad you can't see me. This is going to sound really shallow, and Bonnie, you'll laugh with me. I am very grateful that hair grows. And the reason is that I woke up one day last week and I decided I needed a drastic change. So I had my hair all cut off and I hate it. So I'm just going to sit around watching my hair grow. Obviously, I'm thankful for many other things that you've all heard me say before. My beautiful family and Bonnie and David, who aren't just family, but who are more than delicious friends. Thank you. Good health and Shabbat Shalom to everybody.
Thank you, Pearl. Who else would like to share what you're thankful for? So I think Stan Schroeder, I don't see anybody else. And so you're up to bat.
Thank you. And thanks to the congregation for this opportunity that I have each week. For Cheryl and Jacqueline don't know, some time ago, like going on 15, 20 years ago, I talked to Rabbi Vorsman and said that what I'm thankful for is the people who came before me and made this world what it is. And I've been writing biographies of Jewish people and other people and giving talks about what's happening in Israel, what's happening all around. And so this is my opportunity. So 2 weeks ago was leading up to Super Bowl. And I talked about some Jewish athletes that had been in the Super Bowl and the original Super Bowl. And Rabbi Vorsman said, well, what about the Olympics and Jewish athletes that are in the Olympics in China now for the Winter Olympics? So just a little bit about that first. There weren't that many Jewish athletes that actually won medals or whatever. What I found out about, though, were the athletes from Israel that competed. And there's 2 of them that I wanted to speak about. And I'll read from what I have here. The big surprise at the Games for Israel was skier Barnabas Zolos, who finished 6th overall in the Alpine combined event, the country's best ever Olympic skiing finish, and tied for the best ever Winter Olympic result of all. Israel, which has sent athletes to every Winter Olympics since 1994, has never won a medal in a Winter Olympics. But Barnabas is a Hungarian-born Israeli young man, probably 22 or so now. Both he and his sister compete in the Alpine skiing event. And during this recent Olympics, they said he ended up 6th, which is as good as any Olympic athlete, Winter Olympic athlete has done there. The other one I wanted to mention is a ice skater named Haley Copps. I don't know if any may or may not have heard of her, but she's an American and Israeli because she lives in New Jersey, and her parents and her family are modern Orthodox. And what's unusual is that not many of the modern Orthodox have been able to accommodate this type of training and competing, but she has. She competes with Evgeny Krasnopolsky, who's 31 years old and has been competing in the Winter Olympics for Israel for a number of years with different partners. And they have in the ice skating, they have a pairs, the man and woman, and they go through called a short skating event, and then the longer one. The shorter event was yesterday, Friday. Well, now it's today, 2 days ago, but Friday, and she and her partner ended up in 15th place out of the many competed, and 16 go on to the next round. So she was able to get into her partner into the next round. And on Saturday, which is today here and now yesterday there, she competed and they again ended up in 15th place. So not high, but she has a really interesting background, and that her parents are both ice skating athletes. Her mother was a figure skater, her father a hockey player, and so it came with the family. And they did arrange for her to be able to compete in this way, to be Shomer Shabbat, not have to ride or use the phone on Shabbat, but being able to walk there and compete. And she never has to practice on Shabbat. So that I thought was really interesting. The second time, in whatever time I have, let me check something. I wanted to mention, and I'll say your side, but this is the week of my mother's yard side. And I wanted to say something briefly about my mother, and then read a poem that I wrote in a more lighthearted fan, dedicated to my mother and all the mothers here. My mother was certainly the inspiration of my life, and the thing kept my family together, showed me the values that she had. We did, so many things as a family. So some years ago, I wrote a poem on Mother's Day, and I'm going to read it now. I'm sure that many people have said it, that mothers don't get near enough credit for raising the sons that get all the glory. Well, here is the mother's untold story. George Washington played with soldiers of wood. In his make-believe wars, the British were good. One day, his mother watched the battle being fought. No, George, she said, the British get caught. Abraham Lincoln, we know, was a tall, gangly lad. He wrote down his lessons on a charcoal pad. Down south, he wrote, slaves plant cottonseed. True, Abe, she said, but the slaves must be freed. When Albert Einstein was young, he admired the Greeks. He read all their books in a matter of weeks. One day, his mother found him reading Aesop's fables. Albert, she said, do your multiplication tables. Old New England was Ben Franklin's home. He sat by the window and watched the waves foam. His mother confronted him one stormy night. Ben Franklin, she said, go fly a kite. Thomas Edison from birth was always curious. Some of Tom's projects made his mother furious. He made a large lantern from one of her pots. You'll get plenty of light from just a few watts. Dearborn George Herman, later nicknamed Babe Ruth, for few know how he started, but here's the truth. He played Little League ball, though mainly for fun. His mother in the stands yelled, Babe, hit a home run. Young Yasha Heifetz, his guitar he would strum, or he'd yodel quite lovely or beat on his drum. His mother got headaches from the terrible din, so she presented son Yasha with his first violin. Go down one. As a child, Big Crosby has a pet hound. They would howl together and make a weird sound. His mother beheld them beneath all the full moon. Take it down one octave and we'll call it a croon. Now, knowing these facts, it's no longer a mystery how young men are able to go down in history. For my mother also influenced our times, nurturing a son who penned outrageous rhymes.
Thank you. Thank you. Yesher Koach. And we continue with our own private prayers of thankfulness. First, we're at the bottom of page 18. Sur Yisrael, Kuma B'Yisrat Yisrael, Ufedechinu Meha, Yehuda B'Yisrael. Go Aleinu Adonai Tzvaot Shemo, Kedosh Yisrael, Baruch Atah Adonai, Israel. We continue with our own private prayers of thankfulness. Shalom, Tova Uvracha, Chein v'chesed, Chesed v'rachamim, Aleinu v'al kol, Aleinu v'al kol, Aleinu v'al kol, Yisrael Amecha, Sim Shalom, Tova Uvracha, Chein v'chesed v'rachamim, Sim Shalom, Tova Uvracha, Chein v'chesed v'rachamim, Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael Amecha, Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael Amecha, Sim Shalom, Tova Uvracha, Chein v'chesed v'rachamim. Oseh Shalom, 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 B'ramavu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu. Oseh Shalom, 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 B'ramavu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru. Amen. We come now to the Torah service, page 19. Ein kamocha Elohim Adonai v'ein kemasecha malchutecha malchut kol olamim umemshaltecha b'chol dor v'ador. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai yimloch li'olam va'ed. Adonai oz li'amo yitein, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Av harachamim eitiv avertzoncha et Zion. Tivnei chomot Yerushalayim, Tivnei chomot Yerushalayim. Kivecha levad batachnu, Melech Elam v'nisa, Adon olamim. Vayehi bimtzo Aaron, Vayomer Moshe, Kuma Adonai, v'yafutu oivecha, V'yanusu misanecha mipanecha. Ki mitzion tetzei Torah. Ki mitzion tetzei Torah. Udevar Adonai miYerushalayim. Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah. Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah. Le'amo Yisrael b'kedushato be'anarachet v'lishmei kadisha kadisha yakira. Ana amartu shbechan be'anarachet be'anarachet v'lishmei kadisha kadisha yakira. Ana amartu shbechan ye'rava kadama. Tiftach libi b'oraita, v'tashlim b'shalim delibi, v'liba dechol amach Yisrael, letavu lechaim v'lishlam. Amen. So we come now to the reading of the Torah. Obviously, we're not in a synagogue, and so Bonnie is going to chant it from the Tikkun. But the Torah portion is one of the most fascinating in the whole Torah, maybe one of the most famous. It's Ki Tisa. It describes the story of Moses when he's up on Mount Sinai, and the people of Israel are concerned about his absence, and they build the golden calf. And so after Bonnie chants the opening verses, I'll share some thoughts about it, and we'll study some of the text relating to what Aaron did. So this is Ki Tisa.
Vayidaber Adonai el Moshe lemor, Ki tisa et rosh b'nei Yisrael, livkudehem v'natnu ish kofer nafsho l'Adonai bifkod otam v'lo yevahem negev bifkod otam ze yitenu kol ha'over al ha'pikudim matzit hashekel v'shekel hakodesh ezrim gera hashekel machatzit hashekel truma l'Adonai.
Here's you go. So let's talk a little bit about the Torah portion. I'm going to put a text here for us to study. And as I mentioned, the episode is going to be describing what happens when we don't have Moses returning, and the people get alarmed and they begin to wonder what happened to Moses. And so read the text. The people gathered against Aaron and said to him, "Come, make us a God who shall go before us, that man Moses who brought us out of Egypt. We don't know what happened to him." Aaron said to them, "Take off your gold rings that are on your ears and the ears of your wives, your sons and your daughters, and bring them to me." Now, a little bit later on, when they finish building the golden calf and Moses comes down and sees it, after he finishes destroying that first set of tablets, enraged was he went to Aaron, his brother, and he said, "What were you thinking? What do you mean? Let me help you build the golden calf. You're supposed to, that's not the response you should have had." Now, the rabbis are also concerned about this, and let's take a look at some of the rabbinic comments. When Aaron saw how things, because now they're going to try to understand, why did Aaron acquiesce so quickly in the building of the golden calf? So here's the first one from Exodus Rabbis, a Mishnah. It's a Midrash, rather. When Aaron saw how things stood, he was afraid and attempted to distract them with subterfuges. Thus he said, break off the golden rings which are in the ears of your wives. A difficult request to execute, since the wives were likely to balk. Of course, women like their jewelry. They're not going to go willingly to give up their jewelry, right? Indeed, when the men went to their wives, they defied them, saying, God forbid that we should make an idol and betray the Holy One who wrought such miracles and mighty deeds on our behalf. So if they would have done, if the men were wearing the jewelry, the men would have said, no, we're not going to build a golden calf. But since the women refused, all the men among the people broke off the golden rings which were in their ears. And so it wasn't the women, it was the men who ended up grabbing the rings and making the golden calf. Here is another commentary, again from Exodus Rabbah. Another explanation, and he built an altar. They were desirous of building an altar with him, but he would not allow them, saying, allow me to build it myself, for it is not befitting the respect due to the altar that another should build it. Aaron's intention in this was to delay matters. He said to himself, by the time I build it all by myself, Moses will come down. So explanations why Aaron was going to acquiesce. The first one was, well, I didn't think that they were going to be so quick giving up their gold. And the second, well, I tried to buy time so that maybe Moses finally would show up. So I would have taken my time building this thing. And then we have the third. Hur, the husband of Miriam and Aaron's assistant while Moses was gone, stood up and rebuked them. So Hur fights back. He says, you stiff-necked people, do you not remember how many miracles he performed on your behalf? But the people rose up and slew him. Then they gathered it against Aaron and said, if you make a god for us, well and good. If not, we will do for you what we did to Hur. When Aaron saw how things stood, he was afraid and attempted to distract them with subterfuges. So he was afraid for his life. If he would have said no, would they have killed him? Now, we can certainly ask ourselves, what would we have done in a case like this? Because Aaron was really, really in difficult straits. But I think that the reason that I like is the next one. Hillel in Pirkei Avot, in the Talmud. Hillel taught, the famous rabbi, be a disciple of Aaron, loving peace and pursuing peace, loving your fellow creatures and attracting them to the study of Torah. I think here we have perhaps an explanation as to why he built the golden calf. Because he was a lover of peace and a pursuer of peace. And people who love peace and pursue peace, they just can't say no. They want to be agreeable. They don't want to be confrontational. They want to be helpful. So when people say no, makes them feel bad, they worry about their relationships. Maybe if I say no, they're not going to like me anymore. And maybe Aaron was of the type that he just couldn't say no. And I think the lesson here is sometimes we have to say no. I know people who have trouble doing that. And these are self-sacrificing people. These are good people. These are people who very often don't say no because it's hard for them because they want to be helpful. They want to be there for others. And so when they're asked to do a chore, when they're asked to pick somebody up at the airport late at night, when they're exhausted, when they're asked to help somebody out, they're there. They're there to the point of exhaustion. I've seen mothers so involved in their families' lives that they don't take an opportunity to have some time for themselves because they can't say no. They can't say, no, this is my time. No, I'm not going to do it. It's asking too much of me. No, this is not the right time. So we need sometimes to figure out a way to say no for our mental health, for our physical health. Aaron had some very good reasons not to say no. But maybe the one reason that was not a very good reason is because he just wanted to get along. Sometimes we just have to learn to say no. We're now going to do a Misha Berach for those who are not well, and I'll ask you in a moment to mention their names. Misha Berach, Avotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Yimotenu, Sarah, Rachel, Leah. May he who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, Bless and heal these who are sick. So please wave at the camera if you have any names that you would like to mention. Bonnie?
Ellen Lowe, Jane Apson, Linda Scharf, Bonnie Ritter, Joanne Leeds, Jill Powell.
Thank you. Janet Kirschbaum, please unmute.
Richard Kirschbaum, Mark Kirschbaum, Sherry Rosenstein, Brandy Gillum, Robert Harris, Grant Hackman, Emily Hobbs, Sheriff Farber, Ruth Cohn, Neil Casprin, and David Iwan.
Thank you. Mo?
Mike Roach, Angie Testa, Bruce Cabala, Cindy Mark, Sue Barth, Bob Nelson, Bob Zetz, and Robert Feld.
Thank you. Sima Schuster, please unmute.
Morty Margolis, Steve Schuster, Virginia Nelson, Charlie Kane, Samantha Kane, Gigi Kafka, Dina Kerensky, and Sheila Sauber. Mike Wachtel.
Thank you. Other names? Barbara Haddam, please unmute.
Walter Pay, Jimmy Green, Nancy Satin, Lucas Satin, and Nancy Arkin.
Thank you. Sam Kabonik?
Mark Zuckman, Sherry Blank, and Fran.
Thank you. Other names? Ray Wazana?
Maury Seamus, Fran Kabolnik, Phil Cooperman, Suzanne Mattioy, Janetta Wazana, Donna Krupp.
Thank you. Other names? Judy Isikowicz?
Debbie Reff, Eileen Wasserman, Christine Kroll, and Rachel Isikowicz.
Thank you. David Rader, please share.
Ez Rader Roth, Jackie Haslett, Gail Chevelle.
Thank you. Other names, please raise your hands. Alan Berman.
Yaakov Berish Ben Shoshana, Anya Bat Vega Riva, Shana Mako Bat Frumasera.
Thank you. Other names, please raise your hands. I don't see any more hands. Okay. HaKadosh Baruch Hu yishlach lahem bimhira refuat hanefesh v'refuat haguf b'toshach Yisrael v'nomar amen. May the All-Merciful restore these people to full health and to full vigor, along with all others who are stricken with illness. And let us say amen. Amen. We'll make a blessing for countries. First for the United States. Harachman hu yivarchet Artzot Habrit v'yagen aleha. May God bless the United States of America and protect her. And before we say a blessing for the state of Israel, Stan Schroeder sent this along, a little tidbit about Israel, so we can appreciate her even more. The Israel Defense Ministry announced on Tuesday that they will invest around 200 million shkalim toward building Israel's first quantum computer. The statement said a quantum computation capability will provide the technological infrastructure for an Israeli ecosystem that will be a leader in future developments in the security, economic, technological, engineering, and scientific arenas. Quantum computing, once in its full nature, is expected to revolutionize not only computing speeds, but a variety of military, strategic, and detection issues, as well as having massive economic dimensions and forcing the entire internet to alter its basic encryption baseline. Experts in the field often say that today's supercomputers will look like the Stone Age in comparison to the quantum paradigm shift that will replace them. Let us sing a prayer for the state of Israel. Avinu Shabashamayim, Shur Yisrael v'goalo, Barechet Medinat Yisrael, Reshit Tzmichat Geulatenu. And now we'll return the Torah to the Ark. Watch carefully as we continue to get this so perfectly coordinated. And we sing together. Eitz Chaim hi lamachazikim ba v'tom ha'meyushar teracheha darchei noam v'chol netivoteha shalom hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva Chadesh yameinu Chadesh Kadesh Yameinu Kekem.
It's my favorite part of the whole service, David. I'm sorry.
No,
Just is.
it's mine too.
It's magical.
It's mine too. Can we go home now?
No,
No,
not yet.
So then let us continue with Musa, page 22. And if you can, please rise. And if you can, face towards the home of our ancestors, Miami Beach. And we shall begin page 22. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avoteinu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarai Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ahel Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Konei Hakol V'zocher chasdei avot u'mevi goel livnei b'neihem leman shemo b'yava melech ozer u'moshiach u'magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham Atah gibor le'olam Adonai Mechayei metim atah Rav L'Hoshia Mashiv Ruach Morid Hagashem Mechakel Chayim Bechesed Mechayei Meitim Berachamim Rabim Samech Noflim Berafech Olim Umatir Asurim Umekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar Micha Mocha B'Gevurot Umido Melech Melech Memidu Mechaye Umatzmiach Yeshua V'ne'amanat Alachayot Meitim Baruch atah Adonai Mechaye HaMeitim. You may be seated, and we continue on page 23. Yismechu b'malechutecha shomrei 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 Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. Yismechu b'malechutecha shomrei 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 Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. Mikadashei Shvi Shabbat Kulam Yisbehu Vidangu Mituvecha Shabbat Yismechu B'malechutecha Shomrei 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 Shabbat V'korei oneg Shabbat Yismechu b'malechutecha Shomrei 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 Shabbat V'korei oneg Shabbat Uvashvi'i ratzita bo v'kidashtaho Shabbat Chemdat yamim oto karata Zecher l'maseh v'reishi. And now, before we chant our concluding prayers, we're going to have our president, Jordan Pistol, share some congregational announcements.
Shabbat Shalom. Since the Rabbi's Tish has been on virtual hiatus until March because he saw a shadow, in its place, we'll be having a weekly Jewish topic discussion via Zoom on Thursday, February 24th at 7:30 p.m. On Saturday, February 26th, will be our Shabbat Torah study session at the Schroeder's at 10:30 a.m. Our board meeting will be on Wednesday, March 2nd at 7:30 p.m. via Zoom. And if there are any more people who don't like to say no and I want to be agreeable like Aaron, please join the board. On Thursday, March 3rd, are we returning to the virtual Tish?
We are. So one more week of no Tish, and then on the 3rd will be our first Tish for the second semester.
Second semester Tish. Our next Shabbat service will be on March 5th at 10:30 a.m. via Zoom and live stream. And on the question or on the issue of Shabbat services, we have been discussing in the board how to proceed in terms of Zoom, in person, or a hybrid of the both that both allows us to have an in-person service and gives more of an interactive experience than live stream does. Assuming I get my work done this weekend, I'll be sending out a survey to all members saying what your preferences are in terms of what you'd like to, how you would like to see our services, which ones you're more likely to attend than others, which mode you're more likely to use. And as soon as I do get those out, I'd appreciate your responses as soon as possible, so that we can move forward and try to make Shabbat services that appeal to more people than they appeal to today, everybody. Anything to add, knowing that it just takes up time? That being said, Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Jordan, and his disembodied voice. Thank you for sharing. Jordan, we couldn't see you. We saw that building behind you, but
well, that's because that's Anshe Sfard in New Orleans, where my grandfather was president, and you should all look at it.
All right, thank you, Jordan.
Oh, there he is. Whoa, he came up from.
He rose from the depths. Mi ma'amakim karatifia. We are now going to continue our service with Ein Keloheinu, and you can follow along on page 24. Shelo sam chalkeinu kahem v'goraleinu kechol hamonam v'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu shehu noteh shamayim v'yosed haaretz Umoshav yikaram b'shamayim lima'al u'shchinatu zo v'gavhei meromim hu Eloheinu einod emet malkeinu efazulato kakatu b'torato v'yadata hayom v'hashivota elevavecha Ki Adonai hu ha-Elohim b'shamayim nimal v'al ha'aretz mitachat einod. Okay, V'nemar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. Please be seated. However, let those who are in mourning or observing yahrzeit remain standing as we observe these yahrzeit. Stuart Balter, Sally Schroeder, Ruth Schultz, Rella Jacomando Austin, Louis Unkelis, Joseph Lipman, and Tina Granick. Are there names that I have neglected? Please raise your hand. Neil and Barbara.
Hal Hora.
Thank you. Other names that we've neglected? David Rader.
Frank Packer, Alfred Rader.
Thank you. Other names that we've neglected? Sheila Hart.
Bill Littman.
Thank you. Other names? Please unmute everybody so you can be a part of the Mourner's Kaddish as we continue with the Mourner's Kaddish on page 25. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah v'alma divrach Hirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon u'b'yomechon u'b'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael ba'agala u'bizman karib imiru. Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabam v'rach v'yolamu olmei olmaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitpaleh v'yithalal shemei dekudesha richu la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiran bi'alma v'imiru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imiru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imiru. Amen. Please be seated. And we're going to conclude our service with Adon Olam, and we're going to use a different melody because one of you said maybe we could get a little bit more creative. And so let us do that. Page 26. Adon Olam Asher Malach V'tereko Ein Nasa V'Vesako Hazeh Melech Shemo Nikra Hazeh Melech Shemo Nikra V'Yacharei Kimo V'Adon Yimlo Ra Ve'Hu Haya Ve'hu Oleh Ve'hu Yeh B'Tifara Ve'hu Yeh B'Tifara Ve'hu Echad V'Ein Shini Leha Shilo Leha V'Ra V'Li Reishit V'Li Tachlit V'Lo Ha'am V'Lo Nishra V'Lo Ha'oz V'Ha'mitzvah V'Hu Eli V'Chai Doli V'Tzor V'Li Yitzhara V'Hu Nisi U'Manosli V'Nat Kosi V'Yomekra V'Nat Kosi V'Yomekra Yado Aki V'Chi V'Yei Tishat V'Yadra V'Him V'Yuchi V'Yati Adonai Li V'Lo Yira Adonai Li V'Lo Yira.
Yay.
Shalom.
And let us go into our Kiddush mode. So if you have some wine or some grape juice, go ahead and get it out. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam b'rit olam beini u'bein b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim v'et ha'aretz u'bayom ha'shvi Davar vayinafas. Okay, Baruch Adonai Yom HaShabbat Vayikat Shehu Sabri.
L'chaim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Borei peri hagafen.
It's a nice background for nighttime.
It's a very nice background.
Oh, okay, Purim's coming.
Shabbat shalom.
Okay.
He's, sort of, yeah. He's otherwise detained at the moment.
Okay.
But thank you for asking. Yeah.
And Mark's getting better?
Every day, thank goodness. Yes, thank you for asking. Yeah, crazy, but good. I have to tell you, I've told your daughter on Facebook how she is just such a little Bonnie, but her baking is unbelievable. Her creativity, her tree that she made out of challah. Everything she does is just unbelievable.
Well, thank you. Yeah, the challah baking has taken off in these 2 years of COVID, and it is amazing what people are creating for the day in celebration. So Alicia steps right in there and does it too. Thank you.
It's just, it never ceases to amaze me. And I think really all of her involvements and everything, I mean, she's just, you and David have always been such an inspiration, and you as a Rebbitzin have gone far and above any Rebbitzin we've ever known with your involvements in Judaism and services. And I know I don't need to do this and embarrass you, but I'm sitting there listening to you harmonizing the two of you, and I'm thinking, how did they find each other? I mean, it is just such a perfect think And I know this isn't just the two of us here talking, and I'm sorry, but I think that everybody shares that feeling, but somehow it was definitely a match made in heaven for sure.
Thank you. Thank you, Jen. Thank you.
Amen.
Very sweet. Very
Well,
sweet.
you're very right about what you said about Alicia and following, because I know for a fact that when they were being interviewed at that temple, Alicia said, well, I had the best example through my life.
Oh,
that was
wow.
True. It's really true.
God. Oh my God. Wow. Well, that's lovely. Thank you, Barbara. I don't think I knew that. That's
Oh, okay, yeah. When I heard that, it was like, yes, you did.
See?
Well, you are. You're better than most, because so many congregations, you don't see the Rebbitzin, which I don't understand. But I didn't grow up with that. But I know that that's the way it is in most congregations.
Well, David and I have always said that we were blessed to be with Temple Beth Ami. It was really, we used to go to rabbinic conferences and the rabbis would complain, and we had nothing to complain about. Truly, it was, we just were always so blessed, as I said, to have congregation Shir Ami, and well, Beth Ami then and Shir Ami now, and we're just, it's lovely, really is.
And we're blessed to have you two as well.
Thank you.
Bonnie, I've been wanting to say how nice it is that you're singing along with David. It almost gives us a feeling of the choir.
Thank you, Phyllis. Thank you. It's as I listen to myself, I think, is this really good?
It's good.
Okay,
it's really good.
It's all right.
She was talking about my singing.
Oh.
I don't need him. I can just.
No. And I'm actually not the one who harmonizes. I have only one thing I know, and David is able to manipulate. It just sounds really good.
That's why when originally we weren't Zooming for a while, and I had said to you in my email, I miss Bonnie, or we miss Bonnie. I mean, nothing against you, Rabbi, at all, but it's so extra special. It is to have both.
Did Harry Kimmelman ever write that book, Thursday, the Rabbi Complained?
I think it was the Rebbitzin that complained.
Right.
Well, to me, it certainly sounds much better with the two of you, but I miss the sounds, even though not so good, with everyone. So,
Yeah.
you know, you have something and you miss something else, but we certainly.
That's right. You're never satisfied, Stan.
My next sermon.
I kind of remember something, and Sima, get me if I am correct on this, please, if you're listening, Sima.
Oh,
I see you're muted. Okay. Years ago, you and I were sitting in the front and we were singing our hearts out because we love to sing our hearts out off key. And our wonderful rabbi said to us, "Do you have to sit in the front row because you knocked me off key?" Do you remember that? Okay.
Hi.
Was that me?
Oh my goodness, I never heard it.
We both can't carry a tune at all. So the two of us built out because we're singing from the heart, and he's going, "Get them out of here. They're nice people, but they should move a little further back."
It was the cantor.
I had a smile on my face when I said it.
It was Cantor Moses who actually said that. He said, "You ladies keep throwing me off. You've got to move."
Was it really Cantor Moses? I think it was.
Absolutely.
Oh, darn.
Yeah, because David would not say something like that.
Okay, see, memory, you know, I'm older than you, so I can say
Okay.
memory.
And we were the ones who sang the loudest. That was the problem.
Fading memories improve the story.
I didn't think it was Cantor Moses, but I guess it was. You would remember, two of you would remember to my one.
No, it's actually three of us remember.
But you know why I remember it?
I'm the third.
You know why I remember it so well is because when I was a little girl, now I'm sharing all this stuff with you guys. But when I was a little girl, a lady came up to my mother and said, "Your daughter," I must have been about 5 or 6, "but your daughter is such a sweet little girl, but that voice."
Janet, I had the same experience in high school graduation, where we were rehearsing, and there was 125 girls went to a girls' school on stage, and the conductor said, "Wait a minute." And then she goes from the first row on, and I was in the top row, and she took 5 people at a time and said, "Okay, you next 5, next 5." She finally gets to the top row, and she gets our 5, and she says, "Okay, wait a minute. Each of you start to do this." And she gets to me and she says, "You can't sing." And she says, "Just mime it. Just lip sync it. Mouth the words, because you're throwing everybody off." She was a gracious woman anyway. And the bottom of the story is that I did that for the 2 weeks of rehearsal, and then the day of graduation, I sang my heart out.
Good for you. Yes. That's Sima.
People are talking about that to this day. Mostly Simon, but they are still talking about it.
They're talking about another person because they don't remember it was Sima. Oh, that's funny. Oh, well. All right, I've got to get going. You guys just to have a wonderful Shabbat, Shavua Tov, and thank you always.
Janet, we're sorry about spring training.
Well, they said now in the paper, March 5th, maybe.
Yeah, well, hope so, because you're suffering there.
You got that right. Absolutely. What suffering are the people that are employed by the not the players so much, but all the seniors that work there. But thanks. Next year, that's what they said last year. But thanks. See everybody. Next.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Enjoy those.
Shabbat shalom, everybody.
I love you, Janet.
Simba's got to go clean up the house now.
Said she wasn't going to.
Just say no.
No, she'll break the gold rings in her ears, but she draws the line at cleaning the house.
Somebody listen.
Oh, the kids are just gonna mess it up. What's the point?
Right. Like Sisyphus.
Yeah. Well, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It was a good Saturday.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom and a good week.
You too.
Bye.
Shabbat shalom.
Okay.
Like the background.
Have a good week, everyone. Shabbat shalom.
Thank you, Sheila. You too.
And Rabbi, the Bruins are on tonight.
7 o'clock.
7,
Yeah.
I believe. Yep.
Okay, well,
Okay.
we're going to wish you all a Shabbat Shalom, and hopefully we'll see you next week for something.
And to
Pearl,
Pearl.
your hair is very short.
I
Pearl.
don't think she needs that.
Okay. It's short. Okay.